So I've only just been catching up on like news and stuff, and also like I guess celebrity or influencer news. You know Naomi Neo?
Yes, I do know her. As in, I do know who she is. Hi, Naomi.
I'm rolling my eyes because I realized like all guys would know, and yeah, roll eyes.
Is it like that? Is it like that? Is it because I'm a guy? That's why I know her. But yeah, I do know
Anyway, I wasn't asking you. It wasn't from the angle. I just like want to say congrats because she just gave birth to her second child. But what really got me like whoa was the child's name. So her first child.
It got you whoa.
Is actually
got you whoa.
Yeah, whoa. Because her first child is named Kaizo, which is a rather unusual name. And then her second child, the one that was just the baby is named Zyla Ray.
Like 2 words, Zyla Ray.
It's a really unusual name. So she said she just thought of the name while driving and it kind of stuck. And then Ray just comes from like ray of sunshine, but she changed the Ray to R-E-Y.
Right.
Like there are more and more kids with really unusual names. Do you know when I was in school, I mean, my name has always been Jade, and in school that was considered like very unusual already. Like it was considered like a weird name.
Progressive.
My dad very progressive.
Isn't Jade like a pretty common name?
Now it's common. At that time, like you think about it growing up.
So you are like the oldest Jade around, like all the other Jades are younger and prettier than you. Is that the I don't know this is what you're saying, what? It's your words, not mine.
That was literally not what I was saying.
Okay.
Commercial break.
So Jade was unusual at that time, but now it's getting out of hand, is that what you're saying?
No, I mean, like, I used to get people asking me, is that your real name, right? And I used to be a bit annoyed. I'm like, of course it's my real name. To a primary school kid, I'm like, what do you
You know what you should tell them? You know what you should tell them? You say, just listen to my Chinese name. 谢美玉. Like nobody is gonna give you that. You're not gonna call yourself 谢美玉 for sure. Sorry, auntie. So
what
if your Chinese name
is
谢美玉, right? Wow, 美玉 is like the Kelvin of like the Chinese world in the 1970s and 80s. Like everybody was called like 美玉. Mei Ling, you just pick someone from the street and Mei Yu is like the name, your mother's generation.
But I literally don't know any other Mei Yu.
Not that generation. When
I first signed to the TV station, right, then my then manager said, hey, 你要不要换名?
Yeah, I know what.
换名? Yeah, and I was like,
that's
why?
A good advice,
and literally, right, I was quite indignant. I was like, no lah, 不要啦. So I refused to change my name. And then I just
explains why your career turned out like that lah.
Shut up! It's just interesting because I guess for 2 reasons it's interesting. One is my parents really never put effort with our Chinese names. Like literally my younger brother was, shut up, my younger brother was named by the Chinese tutor at the time. Because I guess we put more effort into the English names.
I don't even have an English name. My English name is not in my IC. I gave myself this loser name when I was in secondary school.
Oh really? So why do you
I'm even more loser than you. Yours is because you're from an English speaking family. And that's normal. Yeah. So you have it. Mine is like I'm Chinese family. So my Chinese name already quite pretentious already because that word is very hard to find. Even in Taiwan, people are like, what is that? Then like I'm even more loser when I was 13. I named myself Andie, but like same as Naomi. Hey Naomi. Like not cool lah. So I like changed the Y to like IE. Then when I grew up, I realized IE is actually the female version.
Yeah, that's quite funny. Yeah. I always wondered why you spelled
Oh my god, so funny. I have a female name and I give it to myself. I can't blame anyone. I'm such a loser.
Honey, that explains a lot. Let me just say.
Initially, I wanted to change my name, but I realized like I should embrace the loser I am.
Why do you even pick Andie? I mean, don't say the like
because
female
Andie Lau very popular at that time when I was in secondary school. Then like, Andie Lau is like the shit, right? So I wanted to be the Andie Lau. I wanted to be actor and all. I knew that when I was 11 already. So Andie Lau was like the actor, right? My father is called Alan. So we have this tradition of having all A names in the family. So I'm like, okay, A name, then like cool one. Oh, Andie, very cool.
Oh my god, so funny. I never knew that.
Not cool.
But I always wondered why you had a female spelt Andie. I always wondered.
I'm trying very hard to make ANDIE like manly, but it's not working. Honestly,
so
it's
funny.
Not working. So I am no one to judge you lah. I'm no one to judge you.
No, but it's quite funny because I actually think like it's interesting because both of our examples, right, it highlights a bit of lack of understanding or a slight ignorance of the language, right? So Mei Yu, I never knew it was like so 古代 and so like like such a traditional boring name.
Like Ah Hua, Mei Yu is a bit better than the Ah Hua. Yeah, really, I'm not kidding. Ask people.
No, it's way better
You
than
ask people from
Ahua.
the last
Sorry
generation.
to all the Ahuas.
You ask people from the last generation. Mei is like Ahua.
Commercial break. So I read this article, right, on why, because Hong Kongers are notorious for their really unusual names, right? And it was quite funny, this article, because they basically said it started from a lack of understanding of the English language as well. Like someone would name their daughter Kinky without realizing the context of naming a girl Kinky. Maybe they just thought Kinky sounded cute, for example, right? So that's why they started with really unusual. But then,
sounds kinky.
And then it's quite funny because they've evolved since then, right? I'm just going to ignore this nonsense.
Yeah. To be fair, it's not just Hong Kong. It's actually, I feel like in the more Chinese-speaking regions, because I have a lot of friends in Taiwan with very weird names also, like very, very weird names. Like when you say English names, right, you're bound by a vocab of like acceptable names, correct?
Yeah.
Like, so, like, you know, like Chris, like Adam, you know, Robert, whatever lah. You know, they are the long form, short form, you know, like Bobby, Robert. Bobby is like short form for Robert, which I don't know why, same number of syllables. But they don't have these rules, right? So when they have English names, usually it's not by their parents because their parents don't have that background as well. They are the first gen where they actually have in touch with the English language. And they want it, they want it to be fun. So I have a friend named Carace. Like, oh, Carace, that's quite a cool name. Like how? Oh, because I like cars and I like them when they are racing. So car race, Carace.
Wow.
Cool. So we have like June quite acceptable, May, April quite acceptable. So but you will find like August, September, October, November, December, February names like that. Like February not so common. Like November, December, like quite popular. So we have singer called Fish, right? Like that's not probably like a name, and then we all accept it, right? So there are a lot of Jen from Hong Kong.
No leh. The first time I heard Fish, Leong, the name, I was like, Fish? Like, okay, like,
hey, we have a part-time actor in Singapore called Fish also.
Because I grew up like speaking English, right? So to me, it's like, why would you name your kid Fish? Right? But then I think it's like how you keep laughing at my Chinese name lah. Like, why would you accept the name Mei Yu and not change it?
And then we have Americans, British, celebrities that are naming their kids in different ways. So it's almost like a new trend whereby they have really, really weird names. Like Elon Musk, I don't know the name. I can't even pronounce it. Got some dash, like some sci-fi film one. And it's supposedly quite meaningful.
I heard a friend told me that she knew a kid called A-Xii, spelt A-B-C-D-E. I was like, what?
So smart. Okay, A-Xii.
And it's pronounced, it's pronounced A-Xii. Like, for example, like Carace. Carace sounds not that bad, right?
But when you find out why, wow, quite cool.
Because, okay, my brother's name is Mark, right? My older brother's name is Mark. And when he went to primary school, this is actually a true story. There were 6 Marks in his class.
Yeah, Marks, a lot of Marks, a lot of Johns, a lot of Kelvins.
Correct. In his class alone, right? Not even the school. I think in the school probably like 20 or something, but like just in his class alone, there were 6 Marks. And it was a bit ridiculous, and also it's always that he'd be known as Mark Xia because there's like 5 others named Mark. So I think that in a practical way, naming your kid something like Zyla Ray, you're not going to have another Zyla Ray in the class.
You never know.
Now,
you never know. Yeah.
I mean, but for someone who has like what was considered an unusual name growing up in school, I hated it when I was in school because every time I get in trouble, plus my name is damn short, so it's super easy to remember. People will say Jade and Company.
Oh.
It's always Jade. Yeah.
But very hard. Your name is very hard to like scream at you because like Jade. Like you cannot finish it like Andie! You can no! Idiot! Like, you cannot scold lah. So
no.
Like I wouldn't
when you are at home and they want to scold you, it's full name Jade Xia. So when I started working, right, I thought people were scolding me all the time because people always address us by our full names, right? You'd be like Jade Xia, and I'm like, oh my gosh, why? Like I feel like I'm being scolded all the time.
If they call you by your Chinese name, then you know you're in trouble.
Like Jade Xia maybe, but my mom cannot pronounce it, so that's why she never used it.
I see. Okay, so let's give a bit of value on with this episode. Okay, give you a bit of value.
The value, I think people want to know, before we go into that, I think people want to know, like, for example, your kids. Your kids have pretty uncommon names, but I feel like
not really, yeah.
It's not uncommon, but it's not so out of this world like A-Xii. You know what I mean? It's still within the realm of what I feel is acceptable, but it's a bit uncommon. Maybe you can share how you came
Clitoria. I read one, right? Clitoria. Spell that Clitoria. Almost sounds like quite nice. Clitoria.
As a girl on a first date.
Not
Hi,
great,
nice to meet you. My name's Clitoria. Sorry, how do you spell that? Clitoria. I can't even say it straight.
You can just call my short form. Never mind. Okay, anyway. Yeah, so actually I think for parents, right, you always are stuck in this place, right, where you want to give your kid the most unique name because you want them, they are special to you, right?
And my parents obviously didn't think this lah.
Just so I get you. They just didn't want, you also don't want your kid to have a name that's so out of this world that they will be ridiculed or you like very loserish lah. So there is always this fine line lah, because it is a reflection of your parents' sensibilities.
Yeah.
Right. So if for example, if your kid is named like A-Xii, but how are the parents like that? What's the sensibility? There will be a certain amount of judgment on that. So I think parents are always trying to find that line now, but whether you find it or not is another thing. So like for Aiden also, I also thought like I didn't want it to be too complicated. I also didn't want it to be too like out of this world. And I thought Aiden was not common, but it's very common. Turned out in his generation, Aiden is like a Kelvin. Yeah, he has another 2 Aiden in his class in Taiwan.
Really?
In Singapore, in his class, he also has another like 1 or 2. In school, there's a couple of Aidens. Aiden is actually quite a 咸菜 name.
咸菜 name? Salted vegetable?
Like everywhere lah, like very like on the streets you can
I've
find
never heard that.
Like Mei Yu in the 70s like that. So Aiden is very common lah. And Avery is not an uncommon name. As in it is quite I wouldn't call it classical, but it's quite a common accepted name I would say. So I didn't want to go anywhere. Yeah.
I think both Aiden and Avery are like more acceptable names, but I didn't know that Aiden was that common.
Maybe Aiden not is common now.
I didn't know that. And Avery, I have not heard someone being called Avery, but I think they're nice names. And Avery sounds like pretty. I think for girls, you need to give them like pretty sounding names.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your value add?
Okay, so to give some context, right? If you think about names, right, the evolution starts from the very beginning where everybody is like, names is just something you use to remember someone, right? Before you actually have proper names. So that's why you have like English surnames, like even Chinese names, right? Whereby with this person like sell flowers, say Ah Hua, that sort of becomes you. So even for English surnames, right, a lot of them actually comes from the trait, and then it slowly like evolves.
You're a blacksmith
exactly. So it actually comes from like Manson, so it comes from like different traits, so it eventually evolves. It tells from time now, whereby we are all trying to be so unique and so individualistic that we don't want all these traditions anymore. And I think that actually explains the trend about people having really, really special names, and they don't really care like if it's accepted or not. I personally think that it's not a bad thing, it's a good thing, because I have a personal experience, right, when I was naming Avery. So like in Singapore, actually, we also do have a bit of
red tape. Do we have red tape with names?
Yeah, quite. Let me tell you my story. So Aiden's name is Chen Xuanjie Aiden. When Avery came around, right, then I wanted to call her Chen Yufei Avery. All right, obviously, right, because they are siblings. So I was told that, cannot. You have to call her Avery Chen Yufei because that is the correct format.
Oh, I didn't know that.
And then my younger brother, like I'm Chen Bangzhi, my elder brother is Chen Bangzhi, but my younger brother is Tan Bangjie.
Huh?
Cannot use Chen. Because Chen have to all use Tan for a certain year onwards. So there are actually a lot of very stupid rules on. I personally feel it's very stupid rules. Because whenever this is my understanding, I don't know whether it's completely true, whenever the person that is in charge of this naming job changes, right, the format changes, or like they keep making changes. So like every bulk of the year, there's a change. So my younger brother becomes a different surname as me, even though Tan and Chen is the same, but you cannot use Chen anymore. Like that's not an option, So when I knew that, I found that very irritating. When they wanted to force me to use Avery Chen Yufei, but Aiden is called Chen Xuanjie Aiden, I was damn upset. I just sat there. I said like, you are not going to tell me how to name my kid.
I'm sure you didn't win that one though.
I won. I'm not leaving here until I can name my daughter the way I am. Eventually, I sat there for a while. Then like it was a stalemate. Then eventually they call someone higher. Then I say like, I'm not budging. Then they say, okay, can.
Wow, I really didn't know that. I only know that like when I was in primary school, I think you're right about the whoever's in charge. I think at that time they were trying to promote this 讲华语 thing. So in school, suddenly I had to be called Jade. And I thought that was so weird. All my life, but then I think after that they let you go back to whatever. So I didn't like Jade because I thought it sounded weird. So I went back to Jade lah. I had a friend also who was also a Tan. So when I first knew her, she was Chen. And then later she switched to Tan, and I was like, how can you change
surname? The government changed your surname.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't really know what's happening, but anybody in the audience who knows there was that one big transition point whereby the Chen became Tans, and then like some other surname had to change also. So if you know what's happening there, let us know. Tell us in the comments so we actually know what's the story. Yeah.
Please let us know, because I think it's very weird because my younger brother is much younger, but we're all known as Xia. I think it would be weird if, like in your case, where one of us is Si and the other two are Xia, which is
I always
you
tell
and your
people it's
brothers.
not my real brother.
You damn bad, like Andy. I hate it. No, I would hate to be your sister. You know, you're awful.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, but like we said, do let us know and drop us a line below also to tell us like what you think about all these really unusual names. You know, maybe you can share with us some of the most unusual names you've ever heard. For me, it's really A-B-C-D-E, ABCDE, right? But I'm very curious to know, any that you've heard. I think we both are. Drop us a line below and let us know.
There is this video clip that our producer sent us about where there is this I think American teacher sharing about the weird names.
So this is a capital J, common K, common M, common N. Can you guess the pronunciation of this child's name? This child's name is Noel. You get it? Noel. Because in the alphabet, you would have J, K, L, M, N. But there's Noel. Bye-bye.
All right,
and
man.
with that, Andy Tan.
Go crazy. Name your kids as like interesting and unique names as you can, man. I want to see how crazy.
And change the order.
Anyway, like who cares? You can change your name in the future, and they are too young. It will be like a decade or so before they can even blame you. So that's fine. Go ahead. Name them like whatever you want.
in school.
It's okay one. It's okay one. Don't worry. By the time it's too late already.
Awful. Bye.
Bye.